When my grandpa was still a kid, there was an old man who often came to the park near the school to do storytelling using a paper slide. This storytelling man sold candy and sweets and showed picture story shows to the children who bought them. Even now, you rarely see them, and when you do find one, it's almost always as a volunteer. But in the old days, however, it was a proper business, and in the rural area where my grandfather lived, there was not much entertainment, so many different storytellers came to a public park one after another. It was one of those times when a new storyteller came to the area. He had a very big fake nose. Because of his feature, he was called Uncle Bignose among elementary school children. He soon became very popular. The candy he was selling was only 1 yen, which was a bargain at the time because they would cost around 5 yen if you bought them at grocery stores. Also, the story was different from the popular picture story shows of the time. One of my grandpa's favorites was Tiger Mask, which he had never seen before. He couldn't get enough of the story and was very excited and thrilled. On the first day of Uncle Bignose's visit, Grandpa was lucky enough to be playing in the park with his friends Takeshi and Minoru. There were a few other kids who were watching the storytelling show. They all liked Uncle Bignose at once. He said to the kids, "I'll be here every day at 3 p.m. for 2 weeks, so come every day and I'll give a toy to the kids who become regulars." So the old man would come to the park every day. The storytelling done by him was so funny that the kids looked forward to going there every day after school. It must have been about a week after the uncle's first visit. That day, as usual, when Grandpa ran to the school shoebox to go home from school, he saw a girl standing there. Huh? He looked closer and saw that it was Mio, my grandpa's first love. "What's wrong?" Grandpa asked her. "Saki and Yuri don't want to go home with me anymore." Nearly crying. Mio-chan was a girl who had moved from Tokyo about 6 months before. She was a girl with a city smell and a very cute face, but was a bit timid. She was often teased for her vivid colored clothing and was being bullied from time to time. Despite all that, Grandpa took an instant liking to her. "Then follow me. There's a picture story show coming to the park in the backwoods. Let's go see it together." These words came out of his mouth without him thinking. "Really? Are you sure?" Mio-chan asked him, so Grandpa decided to go to the park with her to show her a picture story show. It was still hot at 3 p.m. on an early summer day, but there were more than 10 children gathered at the park, including Takeshi and Minoru, two of Grandpa's friends. When Takeshi and Minoru looked at Grandpa, they looked surprised for a moment, as if they had noticed Mio-chan for the first time. Then they looked away awkwardly and started whispering to each other. In the meantime, a picture story show by Uncle Bignose started. The park, which had been a buzzing place just a moment before, instantly became quiet. The only sound in the park was the chirping of the clappers. Everyone was absorbed in Uncle Bignose's show, and Mio-chan was no exception. She was so immersed in the storytelling that she didn't even notice the sweat dripping down her forehead. "I've never seen such a fun picture story show," Mio-chan said excitedly. "Right? We've been watching from the beginning," Grandpa said proudly. Takeshi and Minoru, who had been whispering in the distance, had joined the conversation. The four of them were having a good time talking about their thoughts of the picture story show. Whenever the storytelling show was over, Uncle Bignose would give us origami or some kind of free gift, and on that day there were a few kids gathered around. My grandpa suddenly heard Uncle Bignose boom, "Don't touch my nose!" and shoved away a kid who fell to the ground. The child fell on his buttocks from the impact of the shove and scowled. Everyone there was also stunned. Next second, as if nothing happened, Uncle Bignose's smile returned. He said, "Tomorrow I'll give a toy to one of the children who comes to the show. I'll choose one of the children who came today." At first, everyone was surprised, but then he ran to the child who was falling on his buttocks and asked if he was all right. The boy was not crying and was not hurt, so everyone started playing again one by one. My grandpa and his gang were a little scared, but they were convinced that he got mad because that kid hit him on the nose. No one was paying any more attention to what just happened. The next day at school, the four of them had a lot of fun talking about the storyboard show. "If you go to the show today, someone will get a toy." "I wonder what he's gonna give us. I can't wait to go." Grandpa said he was a little bothered by what happened yesterday, but when he saw how excited Mio-chan was, he couldn't help but think that he was the one who introduced the picture story show to her. After school that day, it was cloudy unlike the day before. It looked like it was going to start raining at any moment. Everyone went home to get umbrellas, then they all met at the park. When Grandpa arrived there were only 3 of his friends, the Uncle Bignose who was wearing a raincoat, and 2 other kids. After buying candy as usual, Grandpa said to his gang, "Everyone didn't come because they thought it was gonna rain." "No, it's because they were scared of the uncle yesterday." "Well, now we have a better chance of getting a toy." The 4 of them were having a good time. "Well, let's get started." After a while, a picture story show by Uncle Bignose started. As Grandpa expected, the show was something he's never seen and was a lot of fun. It was a different kind of fun from ordinary picture story shows he remembers. After a while, it started to rain a little bit, but Grandpa didn't care and was absorbed in the story. "All right, that's all for today," Uncle Bignose said, and started to get ready to leave. "Well, that was fun. I think the hero at that scene was..." The 4 of them were excitedly discussing their impressions of the show. And then, "Yes! You 4 came yesterday as well. As promised, I will give a present to one of you." Uncle Bignose noticed Grandpa and his friends. "Yay! Who's it gonna be? Oh, who is it? Who is it? Who is it?" Everyone was dying to know who was going to be the lucky kid that day. "Today, my dear, I have a present for you, little girl." And the girl chosen was Mio. Yeah, I did it!" Mio-chan was so happy with a big smile on her face. Grandpa and the gang were happy for her. "Yeah! Congratulations! Mio-chan is amazing!" They all congratulated her. Then Uncle Bignose said, "Well, let's go get your present with me. There's candy for everyone else too. So little girl, you pick one for everyone else." Every kid was ecstatic by then. Grandpa said, "Yeah, Mio-chan, pick a good one for us. We're all counting on you." The kids said to Mio-chan. She was all smiles and proud of herself. "I'll do that. Wait here for me until I get back, okay?" she said, and walked with Uncle Bignose to the mountain behind the park. She never came back. The 3 of them waited for her that day, but even after an hour, she had not returned at all. They looked for her in the back hills and around the neighborhood, but could not find her. It was almost 5 p.m., and they had to go back home because it was their curfew time. Takeshi said, "I guess Mio-chan got a nice present, so she took it all for herself and went home, didn't she?" We all decided to go home for that day. It was around 8 p.m. that night. Grandpa's mother got a call and was panicking. "You know Mio-chan? She hasn't gone home yet." Grandpa was shocked and instantly went pale. Even as a child, he felt like he was involved in something terrible. He told his parents what had happened. His father immediately made a phone call and left the house. When Grandpa woke up the next morning, he was told to go to the police station with his mother. At the police station, they asked him a lot of questions about Uncle Bignose. When was the first time he came? How many people knew him? How tall was he? How old was he? What were his facial features? Grandpa told them everything he could remember, and even though there were more than 50 children in the vicinity who knew Uncle Bignose, neither him nor Mio-chan could be found. Then the elementary school temporarily banned the use of the park and made it mandatory for children to come and leave school in groups. After a while, the park was visited by volunteers and police on patrol. The other storyboard artists were also banned from the park. When he was about to graduate from elementary school, the prince he used to play with changed, and the incident was gradually forgotten. However, Grandpa says that even now, when he sees people with big noses, he recalls those days.